good news. The Sanderson sisters didn't suck out my soul after letting them loose. The bad news? They took over Karazhan and they're using it as a base to summon children to it. Lucky for me, they'll be busy making preparations and hopefully will be distracted long enough for me to banish them by reviewing their movie. Funny how it works out.
Little children, I'll take thee away into a land.
Hocus Pocus is a fantasy comedy released in 1993 by Walt Disney Pictures. It was written and produced by David Kirshner, who was inspired one night when he and his daughter were visited by their neighbor's black cat and came up with the idea of a boy who was transformed by a coven of witches. Novel concept to be sure. It would have been during 1984 when Mick Garris came up with the script for this story under the name Halloween House, which would have been darker and scarier. They thought to have Steven Spielberg involved, though he refused to co-produce with Disney as he saw them as a competitor to his company, Amblin Entertainment. They later got Kenny Ortega, known for his choreography in films like Xanadu and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and having directed Newsies a year prior to this one. Over time, they would deal with many rewrites, and production got stalled for a while, and eventually it saw a 1993 release in July. And this is a Halloween movie. Missed the mark there by a mile, huh? Then again, The Nightmare Before Christmas released that same year in September, so I suppose they couldn't have it taking up space with them. Well, no matter. What we got out of this was a movie that didn't do so well at first release, yet it became a very popular cult classic during Halloween time, and with good reason. So stick around and let me share the magic of this movie with a little Hocus Pocus. We open with the movie's title on a book, which opens up with a faint shadow of a witch flying across some rivers and trees to the sleepy town of Salem, Massachusetts. The year is 1693, October 31st, the perfect day for a child kidnapping. This is Thackeray Binks, played by Sean Murray, but dubbed over by Jason Marsden, whom you may remember as the voice of Max Goof from the first two Goofy movies, and Adult Kovu from Lion King 2. His sister Emily, played by Amanda Shepard, was just taken away, as indicated by his friend Elijah, who points out the pink smoke off in the distance. And oh, Emily running off with that witch! Binks tells him to summon everyone while he runs off after his sister. Of course, he's a bit careless in his rush to find her, but he does manage to find the witch's house. Inside are three hags, each surrounding Emily with joyous glee.
Oh, look. Another glorious morning. Makes me sick.
And now is the time to introduce you to the stars of this movie, the Sanderson sisters. First, we have Winifred, played by Bette Midler, who acts as the leader of the three sisters, being highly intelligent and very powerful. And I'll just say now, she probably has one of the best performances out of the sisters, and maybe everyone in this movie. You know what? Fair. Mary, played by Kathy Najima, best known as the voice of Peggy Hill on King of the Hill, and who you may remember as the voice of Tilly Hippo from Cats Don't Dance, is the middle sister who can smell out children, and who often gets into squabbles with Sarah, played by Sarah Jessica Parker, the youngest and possibly the dumbest sister, who is able to lure children with her siren-like voice. Using their spell book, which has a creepy moving eyeball on it, they prepare a special potion that will extend their life force. All they have to do is have Emily ingest it, and they can suck out her life force. But not if Binks has anything to say about it. Good job! You at least spilled their potion. Not that it matters, because I guess Emily drank what was in that spoon, and now her life force is radiating, allowing them to suck it out.
I'm beautiful. We're young. Well, younger. But it's a start!
So now their plan is to make more of the potion and suck out more children's life force. But what to do with Thackeray? Their solution?
Give him fur black as black, just like this.
It's not that bad. I've seen worse. Anyway, the villagers show up and capture the sisters. They demand to know what became of the Binks kids, but they dodge the question. Instead, they issue a curse on the town.
A virgin will summon us from under the ground. We shall be back, and the lives of all the children shall be mine.
Well, that's concerning. Guess we better destroy the cottage. Or just walk away. Poor Thackeray. Not even his own father recognizes him anymore. Thus we see that this is a story told in the present day, as we jump 3 centuries later to 1993, where this teacher says how Binks still guards the cottage, even as a cat. Sounds like most of the class enjoys this story, except one. Meet Max Dennison, played by Omri Katz, who recently moved from California and is naturally skeptical when it comes to Halloween.
Granted that you guys here in Salem are all into these black cats and witches and stuff. Stuff? Fine. But everyone here knows that Halloween was invented by the candy companies.
I mean, sure, they take advantage of the holiday, but you don't have to be an asshole about it. So of course he gets talked down by his eventual love interest, Allison, played by Vanessa Shaw.
In case Jimi Hendrix shows up tonight, here's my number.
Oh, high school drama, never change. So it seems that it hasn't been too long since he moved here, hence why he knows Allison well enough, though he just isn't into Halloween that much. As he bikes home, he cuts through a graveyard, for some reason, where these two assholes happen to hang out. Meet Ernie and Jay, 2 stereotypical 90s bullies.
How many times I gotta tell you? My name ain't Ernie no more. It's Ice.
Whatever. They demean Max for being from LA, nicknaming him Hollywood. And since he doesn't have any money, they settle for stealing his new cross-trainer shoes. He heads home to complain about moving here, and how do his parents react to his shoe loss?
He wasn't wearing any shoes.
Well, must be some form of protest.
You two are dumb. Anyway, to show how Max is a typical teenager, he cuddles with a pillow and pretending it's Allison. Yeah, pretty sure no one did that. Shut up. He then gets jumped by his little sister, Danny, played by a young Thora Birch. She's your typical little sister character. Man, I'm just saying typical a lot, aren't I? Who acts somewhat bratty and doesn't respect personal space. She wants Max to take her trick-or-treating like old times, but he doesn't want to. Probably because he feels too old for it and is still getting over the fact they moved recently. But one thing forces him to do it. On easy. With that, the parents leave the kids to go trick-or-treating while they go to a party. The kids run into the bullies, who are making a mess of things, but Danny isn't deterred. Though she is disappointed her brother won't stand up for himself.
You just humiliated me in front of half the guys at school. So collect your candy and get out of my life.
I want to go home now.
Jeez, Max, you didn't need to be so harsh like that. He does admit that he misses his old home and friends, and although it sounds like Danny is telling him to get used to it, it kinda sounds like she might have similar feelings to having moved away. I mean, he does try to cheer her up and even does some light teasing by saying,
Something just flew across the moon.
They find a rich person's house, and surprise, surprise, it turns out to be Allison's. Seems this is a Georgian-era themed party with frock coats, powdered wigs, and everything. She seems cool with Danny, at least.
Of course, I couldn't wear anything like that because I don't have any, what do you call them, Max? Yabos?
Well, it was either that or bazongas. Either way, it's still weird for her to say that. Allison offers to take them to the old Sanderson house, and he takes up the offer so he has a chance to be with her, though he has to convince Danny to go with them.
Next year we go trick-or-treating as Wendy and Peter Pan with tights, or it's no deal.
They find the cottage and creep inside. Oddly enough, this looks to be a tourist spot, yet it hasn't been touched in ages. Something watches from outside, and it appears to be a black cat. Could it be Binks? Moving on, Allison says the spell book the sisters had was given to them by the devil, and it was made from human skin? Damn, these sisters were hardcore. If it is, they might want to call in Ash Williams for this. Then there's the black flame candle. He knows what it does and is totally willing to light it.
Stupid cat!
Well, maybe you ought to go before you do something you'll regret, and he just lit the black flame candle. Oh, you f***ed up now, boy! And with the sound of laughter, the Sanderson sisters return from outside the front door. Weird, but of course, they're just so happy to be home right now.
I knew I left this cauldron, didn't I tell you? Oh, I knew it.
My lucky rat tail! Just where I left it.
Oh, you three are so funny. They find Danny, who tries to pass herself off as one of them, though it doesn't quite work. Max tries to save her, but he gets zapped. Here comes Allison with the broom and frying pan. Then, with the aid of Binks, the girls get out and Max decides to do something rather cool by going into the rafters and pretending he's going to cast a spell on them. It's funny because they think it's burning rain. And then...
Nice going, Max.
A talking cat? This isn't one of those movies. He tells Max to grab the spell book, which he does, and they escape before the sisters realize the truth. They start pursuing our heroes, but now comes one other funny aspect of this movie, them adjusting to the 20th century.
Tis a black river. Perhaps it is not too deep. Tis firm!
We'll be seeing plenty of their shenanigans over time, including... I love their silly little child sniffing march. There's plenty more where that came from, but for now, Binks takes our heroes to a cemetery, which is considered hollow ground and should be safe, where he shows them the grave of William Billy Butcherson, said to be Winifred's lover, but was poisoned after he cheated on her for Sarah. He then explains how his cursed form made him immortal, so he decided to ensure the sisters would never come back. So if everyone knows this story, then someone had to know what happened to Binks, and never thought to tell his parents the truth. Or hell, how did this legend come to be for them to be absolutely right about Binks' fate, yet still make this one cottage into a tourist spot? Meanwhile, we learn from Winifred that the curse that brought them back will only work for one night, as when the sun rises, they'll turn to dust. However, if they can get the spellbook back, brew another life potion, and suck out more child souls, they'll be safe. Max has the right idea to try and burn the book, except magic protects it. The sisters then show up on their broomsticks, looking to get back what's theirs. They can't touch the ground, but they can do this.
On thy feet, so saith I.
I don't like this game of Wake the Dead. I didn't even bring a shovel. Of course, all that hocus pocus, and she only awakens a single zombie. In this case, it's Billy, whose mouth has been sewn to keep him from spilling secrets. He's played by Doug Jones, best known for playing characters as the Fawn and the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth, Abe Sapien from Hellboy 1 and 2, and Mac Tonight from the 80s McDonald's ad campaign.
Dinner at McDonald's is Mac tonight. Come on, make it Mac tonight.
Huh. Interesting resume this guy has. Unlike other zombies, he can survive losing his head, as Max finds out the hard way. Either way, they escape through a crypt that leads up to the streets. While they go through there, Winifred considers collecting children now while leaving the kids to Billy. Of course, this gives us some more funny sister stuff, like...
I suggest we form a calming circle.
I am Cal!
Oh, sister, thou art not being honest with thyself, are we? Huh? Huh?
Bubble, I'm in trouble.
He's been waiting for the day to pick up some witches, whether he knows it or not. He even lets Sarah drive the bus for a bit, on his lap, which leads to a rather unfortunate accident.
Binks, look out! Whoa, speed bump! Oh my God.
Oh snap, is he really dead?
I hate it when that happens. What? I told you I can't die.
The sisters end up outside one particular house, but are confused by the children in costume.
Bless you.
Heh, also. They think he's their master. Gary Marshall plays the Master Devil. In case you don't know who he is, Gary Marshall was responsible for creating such legendary TV shows as The Odd Couple, Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy, and even directed both Pretty Woman and The Princess Diaries for Disney. Seriously, the guy was an absolute legend in the entertainment industry. Since he knows about the legend, he just thinks they're in costume. Yet it's hilarious knowing they don't know better. It's also funny how he introduces them to his wife, played by Gary's sister, Penny Marshall, aka Laverne DeFazio from Laverne and Shirley, who here is referred to as Medusa Lady. Yeah, that's weird. Just roll with it. The scenes with the devil interacting with the sisters, with Sarah even hitting on him, and Winifred thinking kitchenware as torture devices, are some of the funniest things they've done yet. Not to mention this part. Anyway, Medusa Lady gets tired of them hitting on her husband and tells them to leave.
Make us. Ralph, stick 'em.
Yeah, you show 'em, Laverne. But uh-oh, while they were inside the house, some kids took their brooms. They do realize by now that everyone, including the people they were with, are just in costume.
All Hallows Eve has become a night of frolic, where children wear costumes and run amok.
They're like a magical gender-bent version of the Three Stooges. I love it. Meanwhile, our heroes attempt to tell this one cop about what happened, but of course he doesn't believe them. Then again, it's not like he was a real cop to begin with, which I'm sure would be illegal no matter what time of year this was. So they decide they should tell Mom and Dad. They head to the place the party's at, which is certainly reminding me of Spooky Buddies. And what is Mom wearing?
Madonna?
Don't recognize that. Oh. The sisters show up right as the kids try talking to the parents, and upon realizing this, Max tries to warn everyone. However, Winifred takes this opportunity to not only embarrass him, but also sing one of the most awesome song covers ever done. I can't show it all, but I can show you part of it.
I put a spell on you, and now you're gone. My planet fell on you, and it was strong. So strong.
The song I Put a Spell on You was originally written and composed in 1956 by Jalassi Screaming Jaw Hawkins as a kind of blues ballet. The original is certainly different from what we ended up getting, especially if you saw the music video for it.
I put a spell on you because you're mine.
Billy returns and chases the kids away, and the sisters soon follow once they have the adults trapped in their eternal dance spell. They hide in an alleyway near some kitchen and avoid detection long enough for Allison to get an idea. First, they lure the sisters to the high school.
It reeks of children. It is a prison for children.
Yeah, where Max mugs over the intercom as the sisters try looking for him. With Binks, they're able to lure the sisters into the art room and trap them inside the pottery kiln, where they turn up the heat and they die. Hooray for murder! I'm sure Danny's gonna be scarred for life after that. Max connects with Binks over his sister and invites him to live with them. Danny is certainly happy for this, since now they got a free cat.
You'll have milk and tuna fish every day, and you'll only hunt mice for fun.
You're going to turn me into one of those fat, useless, contented house cats.
You betcha.
Not sure I like that implication. At least Max gets to have Allison sleep with him. It's fine, at least he's not doing anything creepy about it. Although little do they realize, the curse is still in effect, and the witches revive from their burning.
Bonjour. Je veux mon livre.
So I guess the curse lets them avoid death from everything else, except the sun once that comes out? This is certainly turning into a real Dead by Daylight situation. Mary smells out Max's scent on the shoes that Jay and Ice took from him.
It's always the ugly chicks that stay out late. Chicks.
Winifred tries desperately to remember the recipe by memory, but is ultimately unable to. Meanwhile, the teens wake up and sympathize with Binks' situation. They think the book might have a way to free him, and since they think the witches are dead, maybe they can use it. But by opening the book, this makes them a homing beacon of sorts, meaning the sisters can find them now. How will they get to them, though?
Into the night!
Winnie?
Poor Mary. The teens do learn a protection spell using a salt circle before Binks closes the book. Even now, he insists nothing good comes from that book, and while they get some salt, the sisters come in and take Danny and Binks. The salt trick works, so Allison and Max are left alone, while the sisters make preparations for their life potion. This includes Sarah singing her song.
Little children, I'll take thee away into a land of enchantment.
Hey, all things considered, Sarah is a really good singer, and her siren song is so powerful that it hypnotizes all the children of Salem, who look like they put on their pajamas over their costumes. The teens believe that since the black candle only lasts for this one night, they need to stop them from finishing the potion and sucking out all the kids' life force. The sisters finish their potion and are about to force Danny to drink some, while Binks is tied up in a sack dangling in front of the fireplace, when Max arrives to deliver an awesome line.
There's one thing that I know that you don't.
And what is that, dude?
Daylight savings time.
Oh, and karma on the bullies, Max steals his shoes back. Anyway, turns out it was just a car's headlight they were using. As they drive away, the sisters learn what happened and see that there's only enough of the potion for one child. While they could just use it on one of the children that's coming toward the house, Winifred is still mad and wants Danny.
I want to get that little rat-faced kid that called me!
Oh, don't say it, Jody.
Ugly?
Oh, honey, I know.
My feelings!
So vain. Well, time for a chase sequence.
Hello there! Let me see your driver's permit.
Where'd you learn that one from? Or did you need horse driving permits back in your time? Back to the graveyard, where it's supposedly safe from them. Billy Butcherson returns after a long time, and this time Max tries using a knife. Winifred orders him to kill Max, but instead he cuts open his mouth and says,
Wench! Trollop! You buck-toothed, mop-riding firefly from hell! I've waited centuries to say that.
What a twist! And yes, Doug Jones actually held live moths in his mouth for this effect. hidden within a small latex pocket. So Billy is going to help them fend off the sisters. They set up a salt circle and put Danny inside it before engaging the sisters in ultimate combat. Wah wah. Well, Allison at least gets to throw salt at Sarah. Also, while Billy stands his ground against Winnie. Goal! No, don't leave the circle. Yeah, Danny gets caught for trying to help Billy, so now Winifred can attempt to force feed her the potion. However, Binks jumps at her and knocks the potion out of her hand, which Max catches, and Binks gets thrown at a rock. Not that it would do anything to an immortal cat, right? Max threatens to destroy the potion, but Winifred threatens to kill Danny if he does. So he decides to drink the potion himself, so they have to take him. She does let Danny go, but now Max is taken to the air to have his life force sucked. He's resisting a bunch, and while Mary goes to help her... Oh, Mary, if only she had a cordless vacuum. Winifred gets knocked to the ground, but nevertheless, she tries to suck out more of his life force. However, the sun begins to rise, and she is standing on hallowed ground, causing her to turn to stone. But not her sisters. Well, looks like the day is saved, and Billy can go back to his eternal slumber. However, the others find Binks' lifeless body, and that's because the curse is broken. So Binks can go to the afterlife with his sister, who's been waiting for him this whole time. It's a sad moment for Danny, but she understands he must go.
Zachary, Binks, what took thee so long?
I'm sorry, Emily. I had to wait 300 years for a virgin to light a candle.
Still gonna run that bit into the dirt, eh? Well, the movie comes to an end with the parents finally getting released from the dance curse, and the boys are still hanging in the cottage with the book.
I have put a spell on you, and now you're gone.
So that's Hocus Pocus. It's a very fun and campy Halloween movie with some problems to be sure. Like, the main child cast are a lot like other Disney Channel movie characters. Very stereotypical, their development isn't that great, and their dialogue is like a product of its time. The story, while novel for what happens in it, has to rely heavily on the humor to get by. But on that same note, it's that humor that works best with a good cast, which is what the Sanderson sisters are. They are, without a doubt, the best part of this entire movie. Their combined chemistry, along with great performances from the actresses, make for some memorable villains who may bumble their way through the modern world, but they still remain a threat once things start going their way. It's also part of why I have a little more gravitation toward this movie versus something like Ernest Scared Stupid. Both have similar setups to their villains, the supposed legends that warn of their return, and how one of the main characters awakens them. Though with Ernest, I feel the over-reliance on his stupidity only goes so far for me that the humor can get tiring in parts. Hocus Pocus does a bit better to space out the nativity of the Sanderson sisters and their misunderstanding of modern-day culture, with natural quirky witch-sister behavior. If anything, Ernest still had a scarier villain, though the sisters steal my heart every time. That said, while Hocus Pocus was initially a box office bomb, not helped by the fact that it was a Halloween movie released in summer, it has since earned a cult following with repeated airings on television and home media sales, much like The Nightmare Before Christmas. And also like that movie, its cult following became so huge that Disney soon took notice and quickly began capitalizing on it with various merchandise, including Halloween decorations, pop vinyl figures, plushies, a sequel book called Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel, a live show at Disney World's Magic Kingdom called Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, starting in 2015, and even an actual movie sequel released to Disney Plus in 2022, which I have not seen, so I have no opinion on it. Maybe I'll cover it next year, since I'll have time, not to mention all the various fan works like music video parodies and fan films that keep getting released during the Halloween season on YouTube and the like. But for now, I'll just say that the original movie is one that I can still enjoy even now. Its charm comes from its memorable villains, to where I can overlook any of the negative aspects it might have. In my opinion, I don't think it's enough to call this a bad movie. Others might think so for the very same problems I mentioned and then some, but I've seen worse to know when something is truly bad. This is my go-to Halloween movie whenever I just want something fun and spooky. It's a good entry point for family-friendly Halloween, one that can inspire to mimic and improve on, starting with its best villains. And speaking of villains, let us finish this spell and seal them back into this disc where they belong. Enshufala Nadorani! It is finished. Let's leave it here for now. I'm sure it'll be fine here. Leave it. I don't want that thing near me. Besides, it's just a book now. It can't do anything on its own.
I am